All right, good evening, everyone. Apologies for the delayed start, but I'd like to welcome everyone as we convene this meeting of the January 21st regular board meeting of the Wake County Board of Education. Looking around the room, we do have all 8 of our current members here, so we do have a quorum. And at this point in time, I'd ask you to stand if you are able as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. So the first item on our first item in our meeting tonight is approval of the meeting agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
We have a motion from Vice Chair Swanson and a second from Ms. Mahaffey. All in favor of approving the meeting agenda, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, adoption of the meeting agenda has been approved. So the next item we have is our public comment period. As you know, it was reported earlier, we are trying to get people out for the weather. So under our policy, we do offer 30 minutes with the option of continuing beyond that. We're going to try to get everybody through in that 30 minutes. So as you know, as we've said before, the public comment is held for the purpose of individuals to bring concerns or comments related to the board's agenda, the board topics. All speakers will be heard in order of sign-up. We do give priority to students that are wishing to speak. Only the person speaking at the podium should stand. All other attendees that are not speaking should remain seated. Concerns related to personnel topics or private student matters might be addressed through other applicable WCPSS staff, the grievance policy, and other options. If you have come with a grievance of that matter, please stay and we can refer you to the appropriate member of staff who might be able to assist you while you are here at the building. In the interest of maintaining civility and decorum, speakers are encouraged to address their comments to the Board of Education and must refrain from personal attacks and insults directed at the individual board members, staff, and most importantly, members of the general public. It takes a lot of courage to come out and speak, and we want to show all speakers, whether you agree or disagree, all speakers with respect. Any materials you might wish to hand out, please give them to Rod Malone, the board attorney, either before or after your comments. During public comment, you may speak up to 3 minutes. The microphones at the podium are adjustable. Your time begins when you begin speaking. That's why you give your materials either before or after, so that doesn't come out of your time. As you begin to speak, time will count down. When you hear the audible tone for the first time and you see a yellow light, that is your warning that you have 30 seconds remaining on your time. When your speaking time is up, you'll hear the tone a second time and you'll see a red light. At that point, your time has expired. Please step away from the podium to allow the second person their full time to speak. Again, please respect the time limit. And at this point, we will go to our student speakers first tonight. Sorry, I have to refresh. All right. Our first speaker tonight will be It looks like Sohan Mohaptara? Mohaptara? Okay, come on up. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sohan. I'm a student at Enloe High School, and I'm in 11th grade, and I'm advocating with the Enloe PTSA. I'm in a school with students with limited potential and big goals, like many others in this county. But certain things are keeping these bright, talented kids from achieving more, though, and of all of them, many argue there is one that to this day plagues active learning in the classroom, which is the usage of cellular devices during instructional time. This has become a concern because, honestly, it's just so visible and so widespread, and it's my firm belief that we need to implement regulation very quickly, because it's not that students don't realize what they're doing. Let me assure you, they do know what they're doing. It's just because they can't control what they're doing. And you need to step in before this generation strays further from their aspirations. Now, allow me to illuminate the classroom experience with phones involved. A teacher lectures and pours their utmost dedication into teaching a student only for their words to fall on deaf ears, with the student's attention not focused on the material, but rather on social media like Instagram or even games. And it's a scene I've seen one too many times, both with other students and even myself at one point. It's a rather bizarre world where glowing rectangles can entice us so much that we disrespect our teachers and even undermine our own learning. And it's to my knowledge that Wake County is planning to propose a survey, which I think should be addressed to both students and staff, and to propose a policy regarding cell phones. And firstly, I'd like to say that we stand by the opinion that it should be mandated at the school level, allowing for flexibility between classrooms according to the individual needs of teachers and staff. Because in each classroom, there is a different need for phones. In fact, phones can be a great tool at times depending on what the teacher requires, as we can do all sorts of activities. We can submit assignments, use apps that are not on the school Chromebook, which would be blocked, that are needed for class. We can check our personal emails, which is sometimes needed, and even play Book It. For this reason, we should give teachers the power to tweak the policy to their needs and allow for the use of cell phones in instruction. But one of the greatest features of a cell phone is communicating with family or friends when you need them. Now, what if students have a genuine emergency or need mental or emotional support, and only these people can help them? We need to ensure that the new cell phone policy allows for this. Now, if a student is in a low mental state, they have every right to comfort so they can return to normal learning. This is a fact. We also believe that it should allow for cell phones to be kept off and in a storage unit, such that it cannot disrupt teaching or learning. Now, there are times where it can be used and times it cannot. As I said, in the classroom, the primary purpose is to learn. Wake County's mission statement states it will provide a world-class education that equips students with the knowledge and expertise to become successful, productive citizens. With lax regulation on cell phones, this task cannot be completed. Hopefully the policy is effective and executed in such a way that students must adhere to it. Previously, Wake County implemented the addition of cell phone wheels, which was ineffective, but with this policy, we have the power to reinforce and restore proper
I'm sorry,
learning to each and every
Sohan, that
classroom.
is your time, but thank you.
Yeah.
All right, the next speaker is Kriti Pokra. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kriti Pakrella, and I'm a student at Panther Creek. Tonight, I'm here again to speak with urgency on a matter that affects all of us, the need for a Green New Deal for Wake County schools. We have spoken to you before about this issue, and we've provided evidence of its importance, yet we haven't seen the action that this crisis demands. And since the clock is ticking, since according to scientists, we have less than 4 years to take bold action before the effects of climate change become irreversible. With federal climate policies facing challenges under the current administration, local action becomes not just important, but essential. That's why we're here tonight, not just to reiterate the urgency, but to emphasize our willingness to work with you. We want to collaborate with the school board, administrators, and other stakeholders to revise the Green New Deal proposal together and have it passed before April 1st. By working together, we can ensure the plan is both effective and realistic, addressing the specific needs and challenges of our district. We recognize that implementing such a plan is a significant commitment. Concerns about funding and feasibility are valid, and we're ready to work with you to address them. Fortunately, Other districts like Durham Public Schools have shown that local action is possible. By securing grants, forming partnerships, and using innovative programs like Duke Energy's Green Source Advantage, they've made strides in sustainability, such as adding 38 electric school buses and committing to renewable energy projects. Wake County has the opportunity to follow this example and even set a new standard for success. We also know that sustainability efforts often pay for themselves in the long run. For example, renewable energy projects like solar panels can reduce energy costs and save money over time. Sustainable transportation can lower fuel and maintenance costs for school buses. Energy-efficient buildings can reduce utility bills while creating healthier environments for students and staff. But the benefits go beyond financial savings. By incorporating climate education into our curriculum, we prepare students for the green jobs of the future and equip them to address the challenges of climate change in their own lives. We can also foster a sense of responsibility and community pride in creating a sustainable future. Our community has already demonstrated support for its initiative. The protest we held at Panther Creek High School was just the beginning. Today, several students are here to speak, and at the next meeting, even more will join us. The issue is not going away. If they can do it, so can Wake County. Durham Public School System has done it, and together we can create a revised Green New Deal that is tailored to our district and implemented before April 1st. This timeline ensures that we're taking action while there's still time to make a difference. We believe this board has the power to lead. By adopting a Green New Deal, you're not just committed to sustainability, you're preparing students for the future, saving money, and showing leadership on one of the most pressing issues of our time. Together, students and the school board can create real change. Let's make Wake County a leader in this fight against climate change. Thank you for your time and your commitment to our schools and our planet.
Thank you. Our next speaker tonight is Zara Hunt.
Oh, sorry, but I had like something to give to your attorney.
Yes, you can give it to Mr. Malone right here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Zara Hunt, who will be followed by Yana Verma. And Zara, if you don't mind, if you could just wait for Ms. Burkrell to sit before you begin.
You totally killed it, by the way.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. My name is Zara Hunt, and I go to Enloe High School. I'd like to comment on the district and their cell phone and personal device policy. My friends and I are taking college-level courses. We're making straight A's, and we're presidents and secretaries and vice presidents of our clubs. We're regional champions and hard workers and good kids. And I'm asking you for help because there's something that we can't do by ourselves. I'm a teenager. I don't like asking adults for help. But we're 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, and phones are built to be like addiction machines. I'm sitting in class, and next to me, my friend has their phone on the keys of their open Chromebook. My AP World History teacher is lecturing, and we should be taking notes on Korea, but the muted Instagram reels on my friend's desk are a lot more interesting. Parents, does this sound familiar? I'll be the first to admit, it's not right for us to be on our phones during instructional time. It's not fair to the teachers, our future professors, or to ourselves, and there's times when phone use is appropriate, and there's time when it's not. And the district is trying to write a policy to enforce where those lines fall, but here's my 2 cents. The best solution would be for this decision to be at the school level, not for the district to decide. So much changes from school to school. Principals, teachers, other faculty, students, and parents, we all know exactly what our schools struggle with and how phones are a factor. For example, at Enloe, phones are an instructional tool. We communicate with teachers, parents, and other students via phones. We submit assignments, organize meetings, and practice skills on our phones. But we have trouble with applying the pre-existing cell phone policy consistently, leading to some classrooms with overt, unproductive cell phone use without any consequences. Cell phones are a resource and a curse, but with sensible policies, we can mitigate phones' negative effects. For example, Enloe and many other schools, we've got different campus designs. So when the district says no phones can be used inside the buildings, does that mean that I get to be on my phone during transition when I'm in the breezeway? When the district says keep your phones in your lockers, well, some schools, like at Enloe, we have to ask the administration at the beginning of the year for permission to use a locker. What does that mean for us? At some schools, there's a lot of fights. Phones there are used to record the fights, to post them to social media, to encourage violence, to violate privacy, to stoke arguments, to incite conflict. And the best people situated to handle this are standing inside the school, not here. This is why the county needs to have a survey including not only parents and teachers, but especially students. Any cell phone policy shouldn't be there to restrict us, but to expand our opportunities. This policy is to help students succeed and to help teachers teach. Don't be overzealous and completely ban phone use, and don't be too soft and change nothing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Jana Verma, who will be followed by Inayaz Vajraj.
Good evening, members of the school board. My name is Yana, and I'm a senior at Panther Creek High School. I'm here to talk to you about an issue that affects not only my future, but the future of every student in our district. The Green New Deal for schools, and more specifically, its Pathways to Green Job initiative. Once we transition to a cleaner, more sustainable economy, the demand for green jobs is going to skyrocket. Renewable energy, infrastructure rebuilding, and environmental restoration will require an entirely new workforce. To meet this demand, we must make sure that every student graduates from high school ready to step into a green job or pursue further education without being held back by extra training costs or barriers. The Green New Deal for School focuses on expanding career technical education programs, creating stronger partnerships with the local trade unions, and building pathways with trade schools and local colleges. By doing this, we ensure that students like myself, who are eager to make a real impact in the world, will have the skills that we need to enter the workforce directly after high school, whether it's installing solar panels, working in green construction, or managing sustainable energy systems. These jobs can provide us with both financial stability and the opportunity to contribute meaningfully to solving the climate crisis. As a high school senior, I'm facing decisions about what comes next, and I want to know that the work I do can make a difference. I know that a green job will not only provide me with a fulfilling career, but will also allow me to contribute to a healthier planet for future generations. This isn't just about saving the environment, it's about creating good-paying, dignified jobs that will help students like me, give students like me the chance to build a career that aligns with my values. The future is bright if we act now, and I believe that with the right education and support, we can all be part of the solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Anaya, who will be followed by Shristi Podel. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Inia Sibaraj, and I'm a senior at Panther Creek High School. I'm also involved in the Carry Hub of the Sunrise Movement. I'm here tonight to urge you to support the implementation for free and healthy lunches for all students in our district. The idea of providing free, healthy, sustainably sourced lunches might sound unattainable, but our education system needs to meet the needs of the students and prepare for the future. In the U.S., 1 out of every 5 students go to school hungry. In North Carolina, 1 in 6 children struggle with hunger, which means that they aren't able to get enough food or have access to healthy meals. That's over 400,000 students in our state. According to research published by the Journal of Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, studies have shown that consistent access to nutrition meal can improve cognitive performance and memory retention by up to 20%. Without proper nutrition, a child's brain cannot reach its full learning potential, reinforcing the urgent need for sustainable solutions like free school lunches. Hunger isn't just an individual problem, it's a barrier to learning for thousands of students. As a high school student with a packed schedule, free and healthy lunches would ease the burden of having to plan and prepare meals for the week as often takes time from studying or finishing my homework. It would not only save money that I put towards college, but also help me make better food choices, supporting a healthier lifestyle during this critical stage of my life. For students like me, access Access to sustainable and nutritious school lunches is more than a convenience, it's a stepping stone toward a healthier and more equitable future. This policy isn't just about free food, it's about equity, sustainability, and supporting students so that they can achieve their potential. By removing the bureaucracy of income-based meal programs, we can ensure that no student is left behind. Supporting free and healthy lunches is a stepping stone towards fairness, better learning, and a healthier planet. It ties directly to the Green New Deal by helping students, fighting hunger, and caring for our environment. Let's work together and create a brighter and greener future for everyone. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Shrishti Podell, and then that will conclude the student speakers. Next, we'll go to our off-agenda adult speakers, and we'll start with Mr. Deaton.
Good evening, members of the school board. My name is Shrishti Podell, and I'm a senior at Panther Creek High School, involved in the Panther Creek Hub of the Sunrise Movement. I'm here to encourage you to consider passing a Green New Deal for our schools, with a focus on ensuring safe and clean school buildings. For many years, our school buildings and buses have contributed to environmental issues, impacting our communities and playing a role in larger climate crisis. In some schools, impacting our communities and playing a role. Issues like lead in water and air pollution from diesel buses are ongoing concerns. This is especially true in certain underfunded districts where these environmental factors can affect students' health and academic performances. Personally, as a student who takes a bus to school every morning, I've accepted the effects of diesel pollution firsthand. The smell of fumes can be strong, and I sometimes get headaches on the way to class. Transitioning to electric buses as part of the new Green Deal for schools could improve air quality to make our commutes healthier, and not just for me, but for all the students who rely on buses to get to school. Cleaner air would mean arriving at school feeling ready to learn rather than affected by the pollution we encounter on the way. Schools are central to our communities, and we have an opportunity to make them leaders in sustainability. By investing in renewable energy, decarbonizing school buildings, and updating infrastructure, we could reduce environmental impact while saving money in the long run. For example, the Green New Deal for school proposes decarbonizing buildings, which could have the same environmental benefit as taking 17 million cars off the road. We fully recognize that these are going to take significant efforts and resources that will be required to make this possible. However, we wouldn't be standing here today advocating for these changes if we didn't believe that they would genuinely be worth the time, both in short and long term, ensuring that all school benefits equally. I hope the board will consider the long-term benefits of cleaner, safer, and more sustainable school environments. We deserve schools that are not only healthy, but welcoming spaces for learning, but also models of environmental responsibility for our community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So our next speaker is Mr. Joseph Deaton, who will be followed by Jessica Lewis. Good evening.
In response to the question, how could the graduation rate be so high when the performance on state standard tests was so low, board members at the last meeting emphatically declared that was just one test on one day, and that there were other ways of considering student achievement. That is telling the NCDPI that they are way off base and are not testing what students need to learn. It's not one test on one day. There are 3 subject areas administered for every grade. And aren't you giving kids other tests and exams on a regular basis? Certainly anyone can have a bad day, but it's not credible to suggest that more than 1/3 of students are just having a bad day. Board members offered no other objective third-party measure of student outcomes, although anecdotes of student success and thoughtfulness were shared. Sure, many students who get on the honors track or in the CTE program are successful, but I'm concerned about the majority who are not. Looking more closely at test results, Asian students were top performers with 77% scoring as ready to enter college or the workforce. and white students were not great with just 63% at that level, followed by Native Americans at 42%. My heart broke when I saw how much lower the Black and Hispanic groups scored, because for many of them, this will likely limit their future career and employment opportunities. The fact that the Asian kids do so well shows that there is nothing wrong with the tests. I don't blame you for disparities among the different groups. These are complex social problems that still dog us 70 years after Brown versus Board of Education. But making excuses like dismissing tests and lowering expectations will never help anyone reach their potential. I reiterate that a more meaningful goal would be to get the performance of 90% of students up to college or workforce ready. Nothing is more important for the good of society in our time than to improve academic attainment of minorities and the economically disadvantaged. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deaton. Our next speaker is Jessica Lewis, who will be followed by Natalie Verplogen.
Good evening. I'm Jessica. I have 2 kids in the Wake County Public School system, and I'm also the vice chair for Moms for Liberty in Wake County. Wow, did you watch that historic inauguration yesterday? My guess is probably that 7 of you did not, so let me fill you in. President Trump signed an executive order stating that there are only 2 genders, and officially defining the words man and woman, since many people from the left cannot seem to correctly identify what a woman is. This bill states all policies and forms are to be removed. It also protects kids in school from trans indoctrination. Lynn Edmonds, this means you can start focusing your attention on the majority of Wake County students instead of the minority trans students. There will be no more coming after our children and trying to make them think that they were born in the wrong body. Can I get an amen to that? Trump also is cutting funding to all DEI programs because they have been proven to be harmful and not helpful in workplaces in the education system. It is time to dismantle the WCPSS Office of Equity Affairs Department and start dispersing those 6-figure incomes to teachers, cafeteria workers, bus drivers, and use some of that money to fix HVAC systems. There's plenty of evidence on why DEI programs do not work and a reason why many workplaces and education systems have gotten rid of these departments. Take notes and do the same for our children in Wake County schools. Next, I want to address Sam Hershey, calling Moms for Liberty a hate group. I am confused because the past 4 years we have spoken up against the radical left's evil agenda you have been pushing on our children. Are you calling us a hate group because we want the basis of our children's education to be based solely on academics? Maybe it's because we knew there was no safety in our children being masked for 7 hours a day, or making our children be socially distant 6 feet away and not being able to talk in school, not even at lunch. Maybe it is because we do not want our children reading porn. I mean, they have reading on other magazines and movies, etc., outside of school, so we, the parents, do not agree with you giving our minors access to books like these. Maybe it is because we, the parents, saw the wasteful spending on DEI programs when that money should have been going to the hardworking teachers, staff that work hands-on with our children. Maybe it is because we have seen so much evidence that you all protect the system and not the students. I mean, how many lawsuits is WCPSS going to get for hiding child abuse and bullying before you wake up? Maybe it is because you do not listen to what we, the parents, think is best for our children. Lastly, is it because we are sick of our children being used as political pawns for your political gain? We, the parents, have had enough of the last 4 painful, dishonest years. I am grateful we now have a president with common sense. It is past time for this board.
That is of your time. Thank you. Our next speaker is Natalie Verplogen, who will be followed by Sarah Wilder.
Hi, my name is Natalie Verplugen, and I am a substitute at the Wake County Public Schools. And I've only been substituting for 3 months, of being here, and something I've noticed is there are some students that do not speak, that aren't very fluent in English, and I've been in 1st through 8th grade. And I think that if we make our educational materials accessible to all students, especially those mastering the English language, then we can help connect those students to teachers and to other students and to the material that we are teaching them. I want to note that 14% of our K-12 teachers in the U.S. are bilingual, but in Wake County that only accounts for about 1,500 out of 11,000 teachers, which is significantly low considering 20% of the students are Hispanic. Learning a new language is tough, particularly for students with minimal English proficiency. Bilingual students often help translate, which complicates their own education. Traditional materials become barriers rather than bridges of knowledge, which is why I propose that we translate key lessons into Spanish and Mandarin first. Picturing that like textbooks, something that like the Wake County makes, and having certain cutouts that are translated into Spanish and applicable to those students so they are able to keep up with the rest of the class instead of being a distraction or relying on another student to not only help them, but then have that student do their own work as well. So this isn't about language, it's about connecting students to their education. When the substitute enters the room, the management is already challenged by students. Language barriers increase that disruption. As I said, with kids trying to distract the other ones, or an educator trying to connect with that one student while the other 19 want to punch each other or call each other names. Funding is a challenge, but an inclusive education is worth it. Translation tools like DeepL, which was 89% accurate in 2020, have become even more precise by 2025, outstripping even Google Translate due to its training on proprietary data and expert oversight. In conclusion, translating our content is not only inclusive, it's strategic, empowering our diverse student body to thrive academically regardless of language barriers. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Verplugen. Our next speaker is Sarah Wilder, and Sarah will be followed by Naisha Frey, if Naisha's here. All right. And then, Naisha, you will conclude our public comments tonight. Thank you. All right, Sarah Wilder. All right, if Ms. Wilder is not able to join us, then Naisha, you will have the floor.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Naisha Frey. I am the proud mother of Molly, a vibrant and determined young girl with Down syndrome. I'm here tonight to advocate for families like mine, families of extended content standards as students who face unnecessary barriers navigating the Wake County Public School System magnet school process. As a parent, I've worked tirelessly to give my daughter the best opportunities possible. I grew up in Wake County, graduated from Enloe High School, and moved back after advancing my education and career. Since before Molly was born, when I learned she had Down syndrome and a congenital heart defect, I've partnered with educators, therapists, and experts to help her thrive. Like any parent, I want to find a school that will support her academic, social, and emotional development. But the magnet school process has been disheartening. At Carnage Middle School, I was told abruptly and in front of my daughter that my questions about ECS programming wouldn't be addressed. At Martin, my requests were met with policy explanations and what couldn't be done, rather than solutions and engagement. These experiences left me feeling dismissed, excluded, and unwelcome. Ligon Middle School provided a more positive experience. The special education administrator joined the tour, answered my questions, and made me feel respected. However, their ECS classrooms were inaccessible during the tour, and the program didn't offer enough inclusive opportunities to meet Molly's needs. While I appreciated their efforts, the broader issue remains. ECS families are not being given equitable access to explore magnet schools and make informed decisions for their children. When schools fail to accommodate us, it sends a clear and painful message: you don't belong here. Families like mine deserve to know our options, meet staff, and understand how schools will support our children. I urge the board to take action. 1, create a pathway for ECS families. update websites and tour materials to include information for ECS families and opportunities to learn more about ECS programs. 2, increase transparency. Allow families to observe classrooms outside instructional hours and highlight ECS programming, success stories, and inclusion efforts during tours. 3, train staff on inclusive communication. Equip staff to engage respectfully and collaboratively with ECS families. 4, host ECS-specific events. Organize open houses and meet and greet events for ECS families to connect with schools and other parents. ECS families aren't asking for special treatment.
I'm sorry, that is the conclusion of your time. But again, to anyone whose time has run out, you may always email the board your extended comments to make sure you've had a chance to get everything that you've said. All right, so that will conclude our public comment period. Thank you very much. Our next item on our agenda is consideration, I was jumping ahead. We do have our information items, superintendent comments and comments from the board. So we'll start with Superintendent Robert Taylor.
Mr. Chair, in order to expedite the meeting, I will forego comments tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. And again, because we are trying to expedite things, please, you're welcome to say what is essential and needs to be said, but I do encourage everyone to keep it brief. So with that, I have 4 quick things to report at our February 4th meeting. We will be welcoming our newest board member, Miss Christina Gibson, who was chosen, Christina Gordon. Somewhere there's a Christina Gibson, wondering what she got into. Miss Christina Gordon will be joining us. We will have a swearing-in ceremony and reception for her before our meeting. And so we're excited to have Miss Gordon on board, and I encourage everyone to welcome her. While we say hello to Miss Gordon, I have to note for my area of the county, northwestern Wake County, we're saying goodbye to a public servant who is having to step down, Representative Joe John, who has been a good friend and a mentor over the years. And I just wanted to take a minute to express my thanks to Joe. You know, Joe's name has always been synonymous with integrity and with fairness, and he's always been a model that I've tried to follow in my service. And so we wish him and Evelyn luck in the challenges that they face. The District 7 BAC meeting is coming up January 30th at Sycamore Creek Elementary School. We'll have Dr. Robert Taylor as our guest. And finally, I did want to highlight some good news. I had some very positive reports from parents about one of our staff members, and so I wanted to highlight the name of Megan Maurer on the IT staff, who was able to perform some magic and solve some long-running IT problems for some of our parents. So thank you to Megan, and that will conclude my comments. Vice Chair Swanson.
Thank you, Chair Haggerty, and I will also be brief. Given the fact that yesterday was Dr. King's holiday, I just wanted to share some, little unknowns about the holiday that really, we celebrate Dr. King, but we also don't lift up Mrs. Coretta Scott King, who made the holiday possible through her advocacy and getting the congressional approval in 1983. And also, 3 months after his assassination in 1968, Mrs. King also founded the King Center that continues to uplift the work and the legacy of Dr. King. But also some things that may not be highlighted or recommended or known is that prior to Dr. King's death, assassination in 1968, Dr. King was one of the most unpopular figures when he began to speak out against the 3 evils that he named in society, which was militarism, poverty, and racism. In his 1967 speech, he also began to speak out against the Vietnam War, which also led to his unpopularity. And so his popularity in 1968 was not as popular as some folks may think, and they also have, reduced his legacy to his I Have a Dream speech, which is not all that Dr. King was. Dr. King was a true advocate for peace, love, and justice, not just peace in the U.S., but international peace as well. And so I want to lead with a quote that Mrs. King talked about when asked in a 1968 interview, the first interview that the King family had without Dr. King. it was talked about violence, and she said, "I must remind you that starving a child is violence. Neglecting school children is violence. Punishing a mother and her family is violence. Discriminating against a working man is violence. Ghetto housing is violence. Ignoring medical needs is violence. Contempt for poverty is also violence." So if you want to learn more about the work of Dr. King and the legacy and the work ahead of us, I would encourage you to look at the King Center that is currently ran by his daughter, Reverend Dr. Bernice King, who is the CEO. And lastly, the District 9 BAC will take place on 2/3 at Connections beginning at 6 p.m., where we will be talking about the cell phone policy, which will be led by Dr. Robson and his team. So that concludes my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Swanson. Ms. Mahaffey?
I would like to say congratulations to our mid-year graduates. I know ceremonies have begun and are continuing this week and next. And on a personal note, go Bills.
All right. Ms. Caulfield?
That was a very tense game. I was going to actually just leave it to congratulating all of the mid-year. I know that we have some graduations. Some of them not going to be able to attend because they're happening at the same time, but I want to wish all of the graduates a very successful venture on whatever the new chapter brings them, and that's it.
Thank you. Ms. Rice?
Good afternoon. District 4's VAC meeting will be February 3rd at Hunter Magnet Elementary School at 6:30. Our focus is balancing technology and focus, rethinking cell phone policies in schools. Yesterday we celebrated Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I attended the 45th annual MLK Interfaith Prayer Breakfast, where the theme was Mission Possible, the power of justice and radical love. One of the powerful speakers was 11th grade Garner High School student, Shekinah McLean. Shekinah spoke on our power to make impact and act for change. And I quote, "I have faith in the power of our collective action." She did an amazing job representing the student moment segment. I had a picture, but I think I sent it too late to our communications department for it to post. And finally, the 8 Dimensions of Wellness tip this week is environmental wellness. Your 2 tips during the winter weathering mix is stay warm, stay safe, so you can have a positive and productive day.
Thank you, Ms. Rice. We'll come back around to Mr. Hershey.
No board comments today, thank you.
Thank you. We'll come over then to Dr. Ng.
Good evening. Just for the sake of brevity, I just want to wish the graduates at Millbrook High School best of luck. And they had their mid-year graduation last week, and I was honored to attend that. I was also honored to be part of the East Millbrook Magnet Middle School's 50th anniversary. I'll tell you more about it next time.
All right. Thank you, Dr. And Ms. Edmonds, you want to bring us home?
Super fast. I concur with everybody congratulating the mid-year graduates. I do want to give a special shout out to Athens Drive because I'm going to miss their ceremony because of a conflict. So I wanted to give them a special shout out, public congratulations to those students and their families, and just say that we're all very proud of you, and I will see Middle Creek tomorrow. Congratulations to the Magnet Schools in District 5 that achieved high honors from Magnet Schools of America, Athens Drive, Vernon Malone College and Career, Washington, Combe, Centennial, and both Dillard campuses, Dillard Elementary and Dillard Middle. That concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Edmonds. That will conclude our information items for the meeting. The next item on our agenda is consideration of the items on our consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda?
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Mahaffey to approve the items on the consent agenda with a second from Vice Chair Swanson. Is there any debate? If not, all in favor of adoption of the consent agenda signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the items on the consent agenda have been adopted. Mr. Malone, I believe there's a settlement to announce?
It was on the
Consent agenda?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone looking for the details of that settlement can find it online in our published agenda. All right, so at this point, that'll conclude the business portion of our agenda, and I'll entertain a motion to return to closed session.
Mr. Chair, I move that we return to closed session.
Thank you. We have a motion from Vice Chair Swanson with a second from Ms. Rice. All in favor of returning to closed session, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you very much. We'll stand in recess.